Okay, good evening. Welcome to the Tuesday, May 17, 2022 Urbandale City Council meeting. I will call the meeting to order and ask the clerk to take roll call, please. Or please, I'm sorry. Yeah, take roll call, I'm sorry. Sorry, I've been off for 2 weeks. I'm a little rusty on this, so.
I'll step in if you need help. Here.
Blake,
Here.
McBurney,
Here.
Kroll,
Here.
Obrecht.
Here.
Thank you.
Thank you. Please stand as you're able for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag, the
United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Urbandale's a national leader in character counts, endeavoring at all times to promote and model the principles of trustworthiness, respect, responsibility, fairness, caring, and citizenship. In conducting tonight's meeting, we expect that all participants will act in a respectful manner consistent with these principles. Item 2 is to approve the agenda. Ask for a motion in a second.
So moved.
Motion by Carberry Montgomery, second by Blake. Discussion, please vote. Okay, that passes. Item 3, presentations. We do have one proclamation that I'm going to read now regarding AAPI Day Against Bullying and Hate. Whereas every day, kids of all ages suffer from being bullied in school and online, and whereas the bullying can foster discrimination and hate crimes, which have recently risen significantly, and especially against the Asian American and Pacific Islander community, leading to a staggering 1 in 5 Asian Americans experiencing a hate incident in 2021. And whereas in the AAPI community, often cultural, religious, and linguistic barriers stop those from seeking and receiving help, or specific groups such as the South Asian, Muslim, Micronesian, and LGBTQ+ experiencing a greater amount of bullying. And whereas in honor of Vincent Chin, who was brutally murdered in a hate crime in 1982, and whose death fueled a national Asian American activist movement. Now therefore, I, Robert Andweg, Mayor of the City of Urbandale, on behalf of the Urbandale City Council, do hereby designate May 18 as AAPI Day Against Bullying and Hate. I'll sign that. I don't believe we have anybody here to receive this on behalf of the AAPI community. Okay. All right, item 4, Citizens Forum. Before we get to the regular Citizens Forum, we're going to open this up for public input on any comments regarding the American Rescue Plan. Does anyone want to make any comments tonight regarding the city's use of the ARPA funds? Now is your time to do that. Okay, seeing none then. Item 4.2, do we want to have any discussion on that?
Mr. Mayor, members of council, from the last discussion, as you can see, we brought these 2 items on, the quality of life amenities and the enterprise infrastructure projects. Those were the ones that we wanted to receive any public comment on tonight. The final 2 items on your list of categories that you determined you wanted to receive public input on will be on the 31st. And so if you, as the council members, have any comments or questions under these categories, I believe we do have toward the end of the agenda some opportunity, if I remember right. No, we do not. This would be your time if you want to have any additional discussion as council members concerning either one of these categories or in the previous categories that you've discussed. As we talked about, as we wind down these public sessions for input, it gives the council a chance to hear what's being said, but also starting to have that conversation among the council members as to how they wish to direct those the funding from the American Rescue Plan dollars. So I guess I'll just leave it up to the members of the council if you have any discussion that you'd like to start to generate tonight, and for sure at the next meeting as well. So you can start to kind of focus down onto the ideas that have been brought to your attention, the ones that staff shared with you, and the ones that you had earlier discussion on, the ones that you may have received private communications on. So it's now that time to start kind of funneling all those ideas and suggestions down to what it is that you want to try to accomplish with these dollars. So I will leave it to the 5 of you.
And again, now is not the time for any action, but we can certainly have some discussion if you'd like to do that. So. Or are we going to reserve it for later when we actually have it as an action item or further final discussion? Does anybody want to?
Feel free.
Start off. I just feel that this may take a tremendous amount of time, and that's why I'm a little hesitant. But okay, my first piece, and which was brought up, I believe I wasn't here at the time, I would still like to, with the 6.6 million, figure out a way to designate some resources towards the building or construction of a human services type building, whether it's renovation, whether it's buying infrastructure to house our, co-locate our UCAN and our food pantry. That would still be my number one priority. And I think with the rule changes, that there's an accessibility to that. My second one, if funds are still available, going back, I think the other thing I would look at is figuring out locations, tracts of land, different areas and opportunities that we can look at potentially buying up parcels of locations that we could then use for affordable housing. We're not the ones that build it, but we would be the ones that would find the locations and help try to make that a priority. Those would be kind of the two at the top of my mind right now. There is a whole list, and I'm open to a lot more, but those tend to be the two. But those are big ticket, and that might take up a lot of the resources, but those are what I'm kind of leaning towards at this time.
I'll agree with you, Matt. Those are the priorities that I also have. I was also very interested in the presentation from the Mid-Iowa Health Foundation that we had two meetings ago, or was it last meeting?
Last meeting.
In regarding the minimum income pilot program, but I think I would want to wait to see how that is received by Polk County and the city of Des Moines. There's no, in my mind, putting our money in there without other, at least Polk County, does not make much sense. But Supervisor Brownell came in after the presentation, so I think Amy and I talked to him, and I forwarded the information on him, but I haven't heard back from him. I don't know if you have, Amy, but I would love to see Polk County be involved in that, and then some relatively proportional involvement from the city of Urbandale. But I agree with Matt that I think our priorities are a human services facility of some sort, or my priorities, and affordable housing.
Yeah, I think that's, from what we've heard so far, this tends to be the most popular option that folks have brought up to at least myself, and I assume that everybody else on the council has received the exact same types of communication that I have so far. I think that it's something that I've talked about for a couple of years now, and I'd definitely like to see it. I think this is the perfect opportunity, but I don't know exactly how it's going to look right now.
For me, I think those two elements are important. I also would be remiss if I did not mention the downtown Urbandale area, simply because of how often it's come up in the comp plan meetings. I also think we need to pay attention to our entries into Urbandale, particularly off of Douglas, where the Bucks Arena is currently. I think that comes to mind for me as a place that we might want to be considering for either maybe a human service campus, affordable housing, trying to think through where is the most logical location for transportation as well.
So you mean the current facility on Hickman?
Correct.
Okay. I got confused because you said.
Sorry,
Douglas.
the pollen level is through the roof, which means my head is through the roof. So, yeah.
And I would say for me, it's downtown, which I think we can do. We can look at downtown as mixed-use affordable housing. We can look at downtown as some other things. But starting at the New Bucks Arena, all the way to 75th Street-ish, there's a lot of opportunities for the business owners, those that showed up to the comp plan meeting, which is why I wanted to see the comp plan stuff before we talked a ton about this. The business owners that were there were very open to the idea that the city come in and help in significant ways, to even the potential that they would have to temporarily move to new locations while buildings get built type thing. And if I think of like East Village mixed use space where you've got some affordable, some market rate, residential, retail type buildings, office building space, downtown is one of those options. So to me, it's a downtown focus that can meet some of these priorities. But I think from a staffing standpoint, our list of 6 pages of spreadsheet might have just got reduced to 5 items.
Yeah.
Clear direction, thank you. Yeah, one of the things that I would want to comment on, I know the comp plan has been brought up in your discussion, and just as a cautionary note, is that the final document, will not be out until '23. And so I know that there are pieces that, we can help, put together in small incremental tidbits, if you will, about what some of the discussion was, if we can segue off some of the downtown discussion, but the entire document does have a little bit more time yet to be matured and to be finite. So just want to give that cautionary note that if you're waiting, then you're going to wait for almost another year for it to be completed. But I'm sure we could look at some of the things specifically for the downtown, the comments that were made.
The $6 million sounds like a lot of money at first blush, but it really isn't. It's a drop in the bucket, and we have a lot of needs. And I think we've identified a lot of needs here, and I think we could spend this money a lot of times over. So I think, good discussion. I think we're gonna have more good discussion, but I think it's something we need to, whatever we do and however we do end up allocating these funds, is that we do it significantly and meaningfully for our community, I think is the best thing I can say. So, and we'll have some more discussion on it. So. All right, we are still in citizens forum. I'll open this up now as an opportunity to address the council on something that's not a part of tonight's regular agenda. Would anyone like to address the council this time? Vern, you want to go ahead? Thank you.
Oh, I don't know too much about the 6.6 million, but after listening to you, I think that money should be spent so everybody can benefit from it and instead of just a select few. I mean, I think that's only right. It's money that could be allocated for many things as far as I know. So why limit it to housing or something like that? That's only going to help a select few, not everybody. So that's how I feel about it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, any other comments before we move on? All right, we move on then to item 5, the adoption of the minutes. First is for the April 19 meeting.
Move to approve.
Motion by Obrecht. Second by Blake. Discussion, please vote. That passes. Then the May 3, 2022 meeting.
Move to approve.
Motion by Obrecht. Second by Blake. Discussion, please vote.
Can you change my nay to aye, please? Thank you.
Then the May 3, 2022 regular meeting.
Move to approve.
Motion by Obrecht. Second by Blake. Discussion, please vote. That passes. And then finally, the May 10 joint meeting with the Parks and Rec Commission.
Move to approve.
Motion by Kroll.
Second.
Second by Carberry Montgomery. Discussion, please vote. All right, that passes. The consent agenda, item 6, we have 18 items on that for approval. Motion by Blake,
Seconded.
second by Kroll. Discussion, please vote. Okay, that passes. Okay, moving on to item 7. First is item 7.1 is a public hearing and the consideration of bids for the 2022 sanitary sewer lining program. I believe this was opened and continued from the previous meeting, correct? Okay, so, but the public hearing is already open, so Tim, I'll turn it over to Tim Stobie, our Assistant Public Works Director, to introduce the item. Tim?
Thank you. Tonight is the public hearing for the 2022 sanitary sewer lining program. Last Wednesday, we received bids for this project. We received 4 bids. The low bid was from Municipal Pipe Tool Company out of Hudson, Iowa, in the amount of $354,161.90. Unfortunately, like every other project, it was significantly over the engineer's estimate and about 35% higher than last year's costs. And it's just due to normal things, fuel prices, labor prices, the resin prices recently went up quite a bit too. But despite that, we are recommending that the low bid from Municipal Pipe Tool be approved. Program calls for just short of 8,000 linear feet of sewer line, or sanitary sewer lining, about 6,400 feet in Urbandale and about 1,600 feet in the city of Windsor Heights. And the 2 sanitary sewer district would fund this project. And even though the project is over our estimate, they do have funds in their property improvement budget to take care of that. Most of the work in Urbandale is going to occur right around Karen Acres School. We've got some isolated lines around town, and then the work in Windsor Heights is pretty much just on 73rd Street between South Hickman Road. And many of you have seen this diagram before, but prior to 1980, most of the sanitary sewer pipes were, the material was clay they were made out of. They've got 3, 4, or 5 foot joints. They're pretty much in good a shape as the contractor that installed them at the time. So what the contractor does is just pull a liner through it, and then they cure it in place, and what you basically got is a brand new plastic pipe inside the existing clay pipe that will hopefully last in excess of 100 years. So with that, I'd be glad to answer any questions.
Okay, thank you, Tim. Any questions for Tim on this? All right, we are in public hearing on this item. Would anyone like to address the council on this item? Okay, seeing none, then is there a motion and second to close the public hearing?
I move to close public hearing.
Motion by Carberry Montgomery. Second by Blake. Discussion, please vote. Okay, that passes, and there are 4 items for consideration.
Move resolution 155-2022.
Motion by Blake.
Second.
Second by Carberry Montgomery. Discussion, please vote. That passes.
Move resolution 150-2022.
Motion by Blake,
Second.
second by Carberry Montgomery. Discussion, please vote. That passes. Wait a minute. Yes, that passes, sorry. Then,
Move resolution 151-2022.
motion by Blake,
Second.
second by Carberry Montgomery. Discussion, please vote. That passes.
Move resolution 152-2022.
Motion by Blake,
Second.
second by Carmen Montgomery. Discussion, please vote.
Bridget.
All right, that passes. Moving on then, item 7.2 is a public hearing to consider the Urbandale Marketplace Lot 2, Urbandale Marketplace Plat 1 Amendment to the Planned Unit Development Master Plan at 11101 to 11131 Plum Drive. The public notice for this was published in the May 6, 2022 Des Moines Register. Is there any objections to that notice as published?
There were none.
Okay, is there a motion and a second to open the public hearing?
So moved.
Motion by Kroll, second by McBurney. Discussion, please vote. That passes, and introduces is our Chief Planner, Christy Bales. Christy?
Very good, thank you. The first public hearing tonight involves the property I have here highlighted, close to the intersection of Plum Drive and Northwest Urbandale Drive here at the ramp. The petitioner is requesting an amendment on this parcel specifically. It's a multi-tenant building. It's a two-part PUD amendment for this parcel. The first one is that they are asking that limited wholesaling of baked goods be allowed as a permitted use on this site. Specifically, the petitioner is Five Borough Bagels, and what they'd like to do is have the retail component, which is allowed today, and then add the wholesaling of the baked goods for their operation as well. With that use, they also requested an amendment to the parking calculations. When a multi-tenant building has a restaurant, there's a relief already in place on how we calculate parking. So there's already, and you'll see it in the staff report, a 20% relief. They're asking for a 40% relief so that the whole operation doesn't count at our larger restaurant parking requirement. Staff has monitored the parking arrangement in this. This also is the shared access to the Stacy's Bridal facility. And so while they each have their own parking calculations, we wanted to be mindful of that so we weren't pushing parking on one side of the line. So it's a two-part PUD amendment. Staff is recommending approval to add that permitted use and to provide the relief for the parking calculation. It comes with a couple of conditions that are listed in that staff report. One being that no additional restaurants could come in because they're kind of at their max for parking calculations. And then if we do find that there is a parking issue, whether they be parking on the grass or we're finding that, you know, people are parking at Stacy's Bridal and shouldn't be, we'll ask that they take some of their area and convert it to those additional parking stalls to get that parking count back up. So Planning and Zoning heard this in April. They recommended approval. Staff is recommending approval. Tony Kem is here representing Five Borough Bagels. If you have any questions for him, I'll take any questions you may have first.
Okay. Christy, any questions for Christy?
I'm really excited they're adding an Urbandale location.
So this is a multi-use building, multi-tenant building, but it's only going to be one tenant occupying the entire building, right?
No. They'll just have one of the tenant spaces at the far eastern end of the building.
Okay.
There's a Quiznos, there's a hair cutting spot, I think an
Okay.
insurance
GameStop.
salesman.
Isn't that
Yeah.
there?
Used to be a Quiznos.
Yeah,
Oh, is
It used to be a Quiznos, yeah.
Okay.
All right, I just want to make sure, thank you.
I go that Target lot, so I have.
All right, any other questions for Christy before we open it up? And we are in public hearing on this item. Would anyone like to address the council on this item? Okay, seeing none, then I'll ask for a motion and a second to close this public hearing.
Motion to close the public hearing?
Motion by Kroll.
Second.
Second by Blake. Discussion, please vote. Okay, that passes. We have one item.
Move council letter 7006
Okay, motion by Blake,
Second.
second by Kroll. Discussion, please vote. Everybody in? Okay, that passes. Great. Welcome to Urbandale, 5 Rose Bagels. Thank you. All right, moving on to item 7.3 is a public hearing to consider the Paragon Office Park Lot 1, Plat 1, and Parcel A of Lot 1, Plat 2 amendment to the Planned Unit Development Master Plan at 4740 121st Street. The public notice for this was also published in the May 6, 2022 Des Moines Register and asked are there any objections to that notice as published. Yep.
There were none.
Okay, thank you, Solicitor. Motion and a second to open the public hearing, please.
So moved.
Motion by Kroll. Second by Obrecht. Discussion, please vote. Okay, that passes. And Christie, I'll turn it back to you.
Very good. We are at 4740 121st Street. So Meredith Drive here along the south. This is the Mosaic Tower and the water feature around that. So the PUD master plan amendment applies only to this parcel that's within the overall Paragon Office Park development. Formerly known or commonly referred to as the Citibank building, that ceased operation a few years ago. The building's over 200,000 square feet in size. Its original 165,000, then it had a sizable addition there on the west. The petitioner is the building owner. R&R Realty Group is asking to add a couple of things to the PUD master plan. The first one is to allow the warehousing of non-hazardous material in the middle part of the building, about 106,000 square feet. This parcel is in the office park area of the PUD master plan, and so the PUD has to be amended to add this the warehousing use. It's going to be in the central part. They're going to keep the end caps of the building with the office kind of look and use and that sort of thing. The second part of this is for the end cap areas is to also add then the on-site sales, display, and storage of trade in stock for offices of manufactured sales representatives. So they have an unnamed client in mind for both of those spaces, but needed the PUD amendment in order to accommodate those. Staff is recommending approval of both of those amendments for this parcel only. Planning and Zoning Commission recommended approval at their meeting last week as well. Representatives from the R&R Group are here tonight. I'll take any questions you may have first.
Okay, thank you, Christie. Any questions from the council for Christie?
I guess with the storage, compared to city's use of it versus a potential storage, I mean, are the amount of semi-traffic, are we really expecting much change from what it was originally designed as, or?
We're expecting more semi-traffic, but it has to be located on the north side of the building away from the Meredith Drive view. And that is one of the conditions of approval. They have submitted a minor site plan to show how that area would change on the north side to accommodate that additional truck traffic.
But the docks are there on the north side anyway, aren't they?
Yeah. Yeah, actually.
Okay. All right, any other questions for Christie on this? All right, we're on public hearing on this item. Would anyone like to address the council on this item? Okay. Is there a motion and a second to close the public hearing?
So moved.
Motion by Kroll.
Second.
Second by McBurney. Discussion, please vote. Okay, that passes. Did somebody? There we go. Got all the votes, so that passes. All right, then we have one item for consideration on this.
Motion to approve Council Letter 7081.
Motion by McBurney, second by Blake. Discussion, please vote. Okay, that passes. Thank you. Thanks. Thanks. Item 8 then is to establish a public hearing. Item 8.1 to establish a public hearing for the fiscal year 21-22 budget amendment number 1. And Nikki would answer any questions if there are. I'll ask for a motion in a second.
Motion approved resolution 153-2022.
Okay, motion by Blake. Second by McBurney. Discussion, please vote. Okay, that passes. Moving on to item 9, planning and zoning items. We have 3 versus item 9.1, which is the Urbandale Marketplace 3 Plat 4 final plat at 10951 to 10991 Meredith Drive. Christie.
Very good. So not too far away, still on the Meredith Drive corridor. We have a final plat for this parcel, a little under 9 acres in size. It will create one buildable lot at the corner. Just hang on a second. Here, and then the rest of it will be an outlot that should they, when they're ready to plat that or have a site plan, they'll have to come back and show how that's going to be done. This is for a site plan that you've already seen. This is for the Premier Credit Union site plan, and so this is to parcel off their buildable lot from the overall outlot. They show the required parking setback, building setback. There's an easement that we need that covers that shared access if you use it to cut through the back to go to McDonald's and come and go. We just want some easement over that. Staff is recommending approval, subject to the conditions listed in your staff report. The Planning and Zoning Commission recommended approval last week as well. Trent Smith is here from McClure Engineering. If you have any questions for him, I'll take any questions you may have first.
Okay, thank you, Christie. Any questions for Christie? All right. Ask for a motion in a second.
Move resolution 144-2022.
Motion by Blake,
Second.
second by Carberry Montgomery. Discussion, please vote. That passes. Item 9.2 is the Magnolia Heights preliminary plat at 156th Street and Waterford Road.
This is a zone change, or excuse me, a PUD amendment you saw a few months ago, I think at this point. We are at the northeast intersection of Waterford Road and 156th Street. So also at that intersection is the new Barrett Bozen Natural Playground, and then Waterford Park is on the southwest diagonal corner from that intersection. The lots shown in red are part of the preliminary plat layout that they have shown. They amended the PUD to recognize and change lot sizes to reflect the school coming in on that 14 acres, that larger parcel there. We'll talk about the school in a little bit, but they're traveling together through the review process. So the PUD amended the lot sizes, and we have a variety of lot sizes available in this area. It's a combination of 46-foot wide lots, 50-foot wide lots, 60s and 70s. And then it also included in their PUD amendment kind of a shifting of some of the townhouses where initially they were all concentrated at the street intersection. They asked to have some there closer to the school, and you can see how they have proposed those. There will be 2 connections onto 156th Street, also with this PUD master plan. Whichever plat gets done first, it was a requirement that they provide that crossing over the drainage way, which is 153rd Street extended. So that part was constructed when Waterford Creek South development was constructed, and they are working on making that connection. The plat also includes 2 connections to the north to future residential development at that time when it comes in. Staff is recommending approval of the preliminary plat, subject to the comments and conditions listed in your staff report. The plat overall proposes 184 single-family detached lots in that mix, so it's a sizable development. The developer, David Albright, is here tonight to take any questions you may have. I'll take any questions you may have first. But if you're curious, the school comes next, so don't ask any questions about the school.
Christy, can you put one of the maps back up?
The aerial.
Yeah, probably. So it's my understanding, I'm not trying to get into the school here, but that this school will serve the area to the east. So are there going to be internal trail connections from what we have already built?
So all the streets serving single family, excuse me, let me start over. All private and public streets in this development will be required to have sidewalks on both sides of the street. You don't necessarily always see that in the private streets, but we required it with this PUD master plan, given the proximity to the school. There will also be a connection, and you can see it on the line work for the PDF. There's going to be a connection off of 153rd Street that goes into the school site from this side. There will be a connection to the trail, the 10-foot trail along Waterford Road, and then, of course, the sidewalks along the street's perimeters.
I guess I'm concerned about people that live in the, I don't remember the name of the subdivisions, but what's already built to the east. Will they be able to walk, ride their bike to the school without going down to Waterford?
Yes, it's a little windy, but they'll be able to get there. So you'll see the street network comes across here. There will be no street crossing other than 153rd Street. There's no other street crossing. So they've got to get to 153rd Street, whether they're in car, bicycle, or on foot, to cross that drainage way.
But isn't there a trail somewhere, like right where you're?
Yep, the trail is currently under construction through, so you can see how it started at 142nd. It's continued through Coyote, and it will come down around behind that, but it still will connect into 153rd Street.
So you could take the trail to get
Across.
to
Yep.
the school?
Mhm.
Okay. That's what I was looking for.
Okay.
And then a little bit above where your cursor's at, there's kind of a blank space there in the back of houses. Is that what's anticipated there?
We're currently discussing that, is the best way to put it. And I don't mean to be ha-ha about it, but I know it sounds like that. Originally, the plan was for Parkland to follow that drainage way all the way down,
Yeah, and I'm looking further north than that.
further north of this.
Yeah, so they're behind the houses on the cul-de-sac, you got the cul-de-sac houses, and then just south of the cul-de-sac area,
Here?
left.
To the west, yeah.
Right now, there's a grass way right through the middle of it.
This?
Up,
This?
there you go.
This one?
That spot.
This is their detention pond.
Okay, I didn't know if that was a park or what that was gonna be.
I'm
so-
sorry. No. It's their detention pond.
Okay,
To the right.
on the other map, Plat 7's written right on it, but this one, there wasn't anything written there, so.
Yep.
okay.
A second.
What were you talking about?
We're working on parkland dedication. That's why it's comment number 1.
The tree line, I think, is what you were talking about more.
Yeah, and then that green strip is like kind of a drainage way. So here's your detention pond
Okay.
in that shape, so that's where that is. That green area, planning and zoning asked about it as well. It's one of their drainage ways through, so they'll of course have a network of storm pipe that's required in stormwater detention. There are actually 4 basins on this property, the one that I showed, and then there's a basin on 3 of the other townhome areas that they'll be providing in their design work. They're proposing doing this development in 8 plats, but we require the preliminary plat be shown all at once so that we understand street connections and sidewalk connections and street layouts and that sort of thing. So you will eventually see this again in 2 ways. One, all the townhouse areas require a site plan, and that's when we really drill down into the details of building footprint and driveways and landscaping for the townhouse area. So you'll see that again. And then you will also see, as they plat this out, the final plats. So, you know, as they break that apart, you'll see the final plats again, but we require the preliminary plat all at once.
Do you know the anticipated, what process, like, what are they building first versus what?
I do. So Plat 1 will include the school and some of the single-family lots, as well as that street connection. And then Plat 2 is shown as the townhomes, and you'll see how that kind of winds its way around.
All right, any further questions? Not? Is there a motion?
I'll move approval of Council Letter 7083.
Motion by Carberry Montgomery, second by McBurney. Discussion, please vote. Okay, that item passes. Then item 9.3 is the Waterford Elementary School site plan at 5635 156th Street.
Very good. So a component of that Magnolia Heights preliminary plat, the school has purchased around 14 acres. For a reference point, this is the east-west 100-foot overhead easement that goes through there. So their school is a little over 101,000 square feet. They will have 3 points of access on a road that will be constructed, so no direct access to 156th. They will have, and we're required by the PUD master plan, although they've exceeded it, a significant pickup drop-off lane for parents. And then that is separate from their bus parking, which will be along the north side of the building. So the buses will have a right in, an entrance only and an exit only. And that's the way they have it laid out. This will be similar to the Radiant Elementary, which includes things like the 12-foot access road for fire around the building. The footprint is fairly similar as well. Then they'll have the 2 detention ponds shown here on the west, a big play area along the south, and then another playground here to the east. The PUD master plan, when this was added as a permitted use, included the requirements for landscaping along the future backside of those single-family houses, and they have shown that on their site plan. They will coordinate with the developer in terms of, the developer of the residential development in terms of water service, sanitary sewer service, street construction, and that sort of thing. So staff is recommending approval of this site plan. They are hoping to have kids in classes August of 2024 is their plan for construction and schedule. I'll take any questions you may have. Kirk Johnson is here from the school district. Joel Jackson is here from Bishop Engineering.
Okay, thank you, Christie. Any questions for Christie on this?
I guess it's more, with Valerius, it might have been unique because we're next to park ground, but is there any conversations about the city having some access to some of the play field stuff for programming in the future? Wherever Jan is.
Not as an issue left. Not as like a city park like we do for the one on Aurora.
Webster.
Thank you. So there isn't that kind of arrangement.
And more from a logistics, because I have not driven up 156 lately, very. The anticipated growth of traffic patterns on there, we are able to handle that. We shouldn't have any issues with what the existing infrastructure is when it comes to increased traffic.
Correct. We're not, we're going to not widen this before the school comes in. It's in our CIP and we're gonna keep it there and not move it forward. This is at the northern edge of the Waukee School District, and so we don't anticipate a lot of people traveling south down 156th Street to like come into the school. Everybody will be coming essentially up from the south, either 153rd or 156th. So we'll widen it when it's time in the CIP.
I just want to say, I think it's amazing. This will be the 3rd elementary school in Urbandale for the Waukee School District. I think that says a lot about the growth that we've had in our Dallas County portion of our community.
Absolutely. So is that a motion?
Yeah, it is absolutely a motion. With great pleasure, I move approval of Council Letter 7084.
Okay, motion by Carberry Montgomery,
Second.
second by Kroll. Discussion, please vote.
I was telling Kurt that I suggested Urbandale Elementary, but that was clearly not for the name, but it was not approved.
All right, that item passes. All right, that takes us to the end of our planning and zoning items. Thank you, everybody. We'll move on to item 10, our regular agenda items. First is item 10.1, the engineering services agreement for the Aurora Avenue preservation from 86th Street to Tanglewood Drive. And Chrissy, who's handling this? Or is Kristen? Kristen. Kristen will handle this and the next item if there are any questions.
Will this take the dips out of Aurora? Okay. Certain Mini Cooper might hit those at times, so.
Okay, motion by Blake. Second by McBurney. Discussion, please vote. Okay, that passes. Item 10.2 is to consider the engineering services agreement for Aurora Avenue and 70th Street on-street bike lanes. Kristen will answer any questions if there are.
Yeah, I had some questions earlier through AJ that I think you're.
Good evening, Mayor and members of the council. I think you had asked about the conversion from the 4-lane to the 3-lane about capacity. So at the volumes that we're at on Aurora and 70th, 4 and 3 lanes are about the same efficiency. 3 lanes have a lot of safety benefits to them. It takes the left turners out of the through lane. You start to avoid those rear end crashes, differential speeds, that kind of thing. It's actually one of the safety countermeasures recommended by the FHWA if you've got a corridor with high crashes. So you really got to get up to about 3 or 4 times the volume of traffic we have out there before the 4 lane starts to be more efficient than the 3 lane. So.
And then this is kind of designed to figure out where a bike lane might go, if it'd be north side, south side of the road.
Right, or do you put them on the outside and narrow everything up? Do you have them kind of share the outside lane? Do you put some kind of buffer there? Obviously, there's some tricky constraints with both the width of the existing pavement as well as the existing on-street parking. So we want someone to be able to kind of look through all those options, and we'll have some options to present to you in the future.
Just was struggling with this is with the comp plan. I know we want to have it for a while, but if we do Douglas Road Diet, this is a half mile off. Do we, spending $1 million on this road diet as well? I don't know if we have enough money to do both. And so it was Douglas is a higher priority in my mind versus this one. So we've kind of been struggling with, do we move forward with this or not? So.
I think it's, again, from my standpoint, I think it's part of the entire road network that we have within our city. And I think it's, it's a matter of providing those modes of transportation in all parts of the city, not just, one corridor. So I understand your point, Adam, but I think we've had this in our CIP and
it just came into the CIP this year. So it was a first year item to the CIP that first year item and also lands in right away versus something that went through the 5-year process.
All right, any further discussion? If not, your motion.
I move to approve Council Letter Resolution 145-2022.
Motion by Kroll. Second by Blake. Any further discussion? Please vote. It passes. Item 10.3 is consider the engineering services agreement for the preliminary profiles from 156th Street from Waterford Road to Meadow Drive and 184th Street from Meredith Drive to 1 mile north of Meredith Drive. And Chris, want to answer any questions if there are?
Move resolution 147-2022.
Okay, motion by Blake.
Second.
Second by Obrecht. Discussion, please vote. That passes. Item 10.4 is to consider the engineering services agreement for 156th Street traffic signals.
Move approval of Council Letter 7087.
Motion by Obrecht,
Second?
second by Kroll. Discussion, please vote. That item passes. And item 10.5 is to consider the petition and waiver agreement for the sidewalk deferment for the Worldwide Logistics final plat of Outlot X.
Move to approve Resolution 146-2022.
Motion by Kroll,
Second.
second by McBurney. Discussion, please vote. Okay, that item passes. That takes us to the end of our regular agenda. Item 11, Mayor and Council items. Adam?
I just want to thank everybody for condolences. My dad's passing a week ago, and obviously missed the DC trip, but looks like Matt and Larry carried ours pretty well, and hopefully bring some dollars back with AJ and support. So, but thanks for everybody for the concerns and prayers and condolences.
Absolutely. Amy?
Just kudos to the Public Arts Committee and the library for kicking off the partnership with City Sounds and, yeah, putting some music into Urbandale. I'm
I
digging
saw
it.
Nicholas was playing out there too.
Nice.
Chopsticks, he said. I asked him, I said, once you can master chopsticks, the rest is easy.
And I'm also excited to see the Party in the Park in June. That's coming to Walker Johnson. So, fun stuff.
All right, thanks. Bridget?
I'm just really excited. There's a lot of stuff, going on throughout the community. I noticed in the movie program, they are moving those throughout the community. So there'll be one here, I think one at Walker Johnson, and then one out in Waterford, not in Waterford, Walnut Creek Regional Park. So I appreciate the efforts made to diversify our locations for events, but I can't wait to see the additional public art. I know my favorite cartoonist, Bucky Jones, did a little pop splash art, I think is what they call it, that he posted about this week. So I just think those are little treasures that we have in the community, and I love to see the surprises around the corners.
All right, thanks. Matt?
Yeah, so I thought I would do, and Larry and AJ, feel free to jump in if I do say something wrong, or, but just do a recap of the DC trip last week and just kind of go over who we talked to, what was like. Before I jump into that, though, first I want to say, I doubt that they're listening, but the Des Moines partnership, they did a phenomenal job. It was like clockwork, going every step of the way. They had something planned. They were very efficient. If they had problems and never was on the surface, it was a phenomenal event. Overall, it was, I think, an excellent opportunity to showcase Urbandale, and it was a good opportunity to get with the congressional delegation. We met with all three members of the congressional delegation in person. Ernst Grassley and Cindy Axney. We met two of them the first day on Wednesday, and we met with Axney on Friday. They were very impressed with our socks. They enjoyed that. When it came to our specific issues that we had to cover, they were receptive. But again, we were one voice out of many when it came to a lot of those issues. Our particular ask on trying to get additional federal funding related to the interchange on 8030, for Hickman on 8035. We did partner with Clive, so they did get that twice. So that was I think probably resonated a little bit more. I will say of the three, Representative Axney was the most supportive, I would say. The others were like, yeah, well, but Axney was like, we want to make this a priority. She told her staff she wants to make this a priority, so we'll see what that comes of it. Again, when it comes to the other, just kind of this interactions within there, the mayors, minus, minus Mayor Bob because he wasn't there. They put together a cocktail hour where all the city people got together, and like it was wonderful networking. It was wonderful connections through in the capacities that you beyond just the Bravo or Metro Waste Authority. From that, I am sold. I thought that was a wonderful opportunity, and I would be a big proponent of trying to get as many council members that want to go each year to that event. I think it's not just the 2 or the 3, just anybody that wants to go should be able to do it, because I think it's, especially with the ability for Congress people to get specific appropriations to cities now, I think that's a renewed focus at trying to get people there to make sure that we are have a nice and strong delegation. And last, and I forgot about this one, and when it came to when we did go those meetings, we did have a wonderful delegation of about 6 to 7 individuals, myself, Larry, AJ, Tiffany and then a variety of different chamber members, former chamber presidents. It was a phenomenal group. I'm sorry that some of you weren't able to make it for a variety of reasons, but I highly, highly recommend that we make this a priority, that, because I think Waukee sent their entire council and their mayor, so I'm like, we got to be better in Waukee at least. So,
Don't tell me twice.
Exactly. So again, that's my recap. I don't know if I missed anything of significance. I've tried to be relatively concise and comprehensive.
No, you nailed it.
Okay. All right. And that's it for me.
Good. I'm glad you had a good experience on it, Matt. I agree. I mean, obviously I've done it a lot of years, and I think there's value to it. And so, you know, and coming back with some more congressionally directed funds, then I think there's even be more benefit again to it. There were, you know, a number of years obviously where there weren't earmarks that still made the trip important, but not quite as important. But if we're coming back into some earmarks again, then we need to be there asking for our share of it. So, all right. Well, thank you for representing us so well, everybody, and appreciate it. So I regret not being there, but I'll be back there next year. So.
Your pictures were excellent.
And just and I just had to laugh because I think the mayor was having FOMO, fear of missing out, because like we had posted a picture and then I get a text from the mayor, like, that's a really great picture. Did you talk about this? Did you go see this? Like, I was like, thanks.
You hit the spot on, man. It was FOMO, yeah. Sitting there in quarantine, you know, just looking at all this, everything I was missing. So, yeah, thank you. Larry.
Yeah, just kind of echo what Matt said. We had an amazing delegation of folks that went out there, and I think Urbandale is very well represented, as well as I think Urbandale is, as a whole, is very well respected amongst our peers. So I think we continued that success, hopefully. The only other thing I'd add is for the Grow Solar, I don't think I provided a date or a time last time, so I'm going to provide that now. We'll host our solar power hour here in the Urbandale chamber, in the city council hall. It's that kind of day, by the way. That will be on June 16th at 6:30 p.m. So yes, mark your calendars. So far, from what I've heard, it's been very successful so far, but they've not provided me any of the numbers to back that up, so I'm waiting on that.
Larry, can you tell me, so what the process is? So somebody comes to the meeting, they hear about the program, and then what happens if they're interested?
Yep, so if they're interested from there, we do have one specific installer that they're the ones that order the panels, they're the ones that put it up on the rooftop, they're the ones that do the assessment of your property to determine if you even have a property that's able to have solar.
Does that start right away? I mean, if I come June 16th and say, bring it on, or go to Clive tomorrow and say, I'm ready,
Yep, they should
that
set up.
happens right away?
They should have a representative there that will set up a time to meet you, so that way they can kick off the site assessment first and foremost, just to ensure again that the property that you have is conducive to having solar. I know like some of my neighbors, they don't have it because they're surrounded by trees, so they're not getting anything out of it. And then from there, we have worked with the installer to ensure that they have the appropriate amount of staff to be able to complete the installation before the end of the year, because we want to ensure that everything's put in place so that way folks can tap into those tax credits and be able to utilize those.
So you don't, an interested party doesn't have to wait until the end of the program when 157 people sign up
No,
to get the ball rolling.
no, because we will not, the entire process takes a while, so we won't know the final price for a little while, but we will know the final price before they actually get to the point of installing it, which is when it would become more relevant.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thanks,
All I
Larry.
got.
We'll let you get some sleep here shortly, so. Yeah. All right, I just have some few things. I mean, this is a very busy week in Urbandale, as we already started. We had yesterday the groundbreaking for Worldwide Logistics on their new building and on Meredith, and that was a fantastic event. That'll be a great addition to our city. Tomorrow, we have the Bucks groundbreaking at 2:00, in Broham Mall and the redevelopment there, so exciting times there. And then Thursday, speaking of solar, we have the solar event at Homeacres at 8:30, so they're gonna be kicking off their solar event, so, and celebrating that. So a lot of big things happening in Urbandale this week, so good to see that. We're not gonna have item 12.2, the second closed session, but we do have one closed session regarding real estate, and I'll ask for a motion and a second on that at this point. Motion by Blake, second by McBurney. Discussion, please vote.